Police say they will investigate any possible warning signs missed in that case. Here to discuss warning signs of school shootings is the author of The Violence Project, Dr. James Dinsley. Thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
In your book, How to Stop a Mass Shooting, you say we are losing the war against mass shootings and that, quote, the monsters aren't going away. What can be done? And should it start at the home?
Yeah, I think what we've tried to do with the book is to take a deep dive into the lives of the mass shooters, going all the way back to 1966. And we've actually interviewed incarcerated mass shooters, we've interviewed families, we've interviewed first responders, survivors of shootings to get this holistic picture. And what we see is there are things we can all be doing to stop a mass shooting. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, at home, at school, in a community, some simple steps can be taken. So if you look at the Oxford shooting this week, one example would be safe storage of a firearm. And that seems to be the crux of the argument around the involuntary manslaughter charges. They're not trying to demonstrate that there's premeditation or intent with that charge, rather that the parents were negligent and acting in a reckless manner. And that really comes down to the fact that they did not safely store that firearm at the home. And that's how that child got access to it and was able to use it in the crime.
In your expertise, should parents be held responsible when there are obvious warning signs that something like this could develop?
What's tricky about this is that you're trying not to criminalize people who are in a crisis. We want to get on the front end of these terrible tragedies. And so what you want to do is build mechanisms and systems where parents feel comfortable to report and they understand that there's going to be an appropriate response. Now, this particular case, though, is very different because the school was involved. They noticed a lot of these warning signs and the parents were given that information in advance as well. And it seems that they didn't really act upon it. And again, that comes back to that involuntary manslaughter charge. There was a sort of mountain of evidence on social media, but also handed to the parents that this was a son who was asking for help, crying for help, and was in crisis. And the parents really should have acted upon that and could have prevented this tragedy from ever occurring.
All right, Doctor, let's stay with that theme for just a moment. Your website says that 80% of mass shooters were in a noticeable crisis. You just mentioned that you believe that this teen was crying out for help. What does that teach us in an effort of trying to be proactive to stop the next mass casualty situation?
You know, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that we can all play a little bit of a role in this, in so much that we just have to be attuned to one another. When we talk about a crisis, we're talking about a change in behavior from baseline. It overwhelms your usual coping mechanisms, and that's usually noticeable. So take again the Oxford shooting from this week. You have this young person who is writing in journals and in memos that they seek help. They're having these violent thoughts. There seems to be a little bit of maybe even suicidal ideation there. So there are the warning signs, and that's where we want to be intervening. So how we go about doing that is we've got to build reporting mechanisms where people feel safe to report that they're worried about somebody. And then there has to be a response to get people connected to the resources and services they need. So it begins with all of us just looking out for one another, taking care of one another, and really paying attention when those warning signs are right in front of us and taking them seriously.
Yeah, paying attention, I think that is vital. You're right there, Doc, but we can't, and nor should we ever forget about the victims. In your role with the Violence Project, what's your message to the victims and their families tonight?
Well, my heart is broken for the victims and for the families. And this is what's been one of the most challenging parts of this research project. As I mentioned before, in writing the book, we did spend time with the survivors of mass shootings and with the victims' families of people who'd lost loved ones. And it was personally a life-changing event, spending that time with them. Because here's the thing that we perhaps miss sometimes about these mass shootings. There's the immediate victims and the casualties that we look to, but every single one of these tragedies absolutely devastates a community forever. I mean, if you think about the words Columbine or Parkland or Las Vegas, they now evoke these types of shootings. That's there forever. And these communities try to move on and they show such great resilience and strength. But we need to get ahead of this and make sure that this doesn't happen again, because So many people's lives have been upended and just utterly devastated by this. And it's heartbreaking, and it's preventable. And that's the thing. It's not inevitable, it's preventable, and we've got to prevent it.
Doc, that's great. Social wounds that don't heal. A great reminder there. Dr. James Dinsley, thank you.
Thank you.
The man.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.